Have you ever cried yourself to sleep and no one noticed? Have you ever felt like if you disappeared, no one would even care? If that's you, I need you to hear this today. God sees you. He sees your tears. He hears the prayers you whisper when no one else is listening. Psalm chapter 56, verse 8. Have you ever felt like the whole world just disappeared? The phone stops ringing. The room grows quiet. The people who once promised they'd always be there fade away. And you're left wondering, is anyone still with me? I remember the day I walked into my apartment and something felt different. No messages, no calls, no one checking in. Just me and silence. You see, I had just gone through the kind of heartbreak that doesn't show on the outside. A best friend, someone I trusted deeply, walked away. No explanation, no goodbye, just gone. And in that silence, a dangerous lie crept in that I was forgotten, that I didn't matter. But friend, let me tell you what I learned in that silence. Being alone doesn't mean being abandoned. Sometimes, loneliness is where God pulls you aside, not to hurt you, but to heal you, not to punish you, but to prepare you. When people walk out, God walks in. 2 Timothy chapter 4, verses 16 to 17. When everyone else leaves, he stays. If you're watching this right now and feeling unseen, unheard, unloved, I want to invite you to do something bold. Drop a comment and type, God, I'm still here. It's not a cry of despair. It's a statement of faith. Because even when no one else shows up, you're still showing up. Even when it hurts, you're still holding on. Here's what I want you to remember. Loneliness can become holy ground. When there's no one else to turn to, that's when we turn to the one who never turns away. Hebrews chapter 13, verse 5. And maybe, just maybe, that's where healing begins. We often think God only moves in the noise, in revivals, in the crowds, in the worship nights. But some of his most powerful work happens in the quiet, in the heartbreak, in the stillness after the storm. 1 Kings chapter 19, verse 12. So don't despise the silence. Don't rush out of the lonely season too quickly. Because this might be the season where your roots grow deeper than ever before. Stay with me, because in this video we're going to walk through how isolation becomes preparation, how your tears are never wasted, and how, when you have no one but God, you actually have everything. If your heart feels heavy today, I want you to know, you're not alone. You're not invisible. You're not forgotten. Go ahead and type, I'm listening, in the comments. Because this isn't just a video, this is a conversation, and your voice matters, even in the silence. Let me tell you a story from the Bible that changed the way I saw my loneliness. Her name was Hagar, a slave woman, mistreated, unwanted, and eventually cast out into the desert with her son. No family, no support, no plan. She thought she was going to die. But right there, in the middle of her wilderness, something happened that still gives me chills. Then, God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water. Genesis chapter 21, verse 19. And more than that, she called him El Roi, the God who sees me, not just the God who sees kings, not just the God who sees the holy, but the God who sees the hurting, the outcast, the abandoned. That moment wasn't just about survival, it was about revelation. Because in the middle of her worst moment, Hagar met the God who sees. Maybe you're walking through a wilderness season right now. Maybe people left you. Maybe they said things that still sting. Maybe they promised, I'll always be here, and then they weren't. But hear me, God didn't leave when they did. In fact, sometimes God waits for the room to be empty. So you finally notice he's been sitting beside you all along. And this isn't just Hagar's story. Even Paul, the apostle who planted churches, wrote letters, and endured prison. He knew what it was like to be left behind. At my first offense, no one came to stand by me, but all deserted me. May it not be charged against them, but the Lord stood by me and strengthened me. 2 Timothy chapter 4, verses 16 to 17. Did you catch that? All deserted me, but the Lord stood by me. That line gets me every time, because even Paul, a spiritual giant, was ghosted by everyone. But God? He stayed. Maybe that's your word today. You've been hoping someone would show up, someone would understand, someone would call. But instead, silence. I want to say this gently. Maybe the silence isn't punishment. Maybe it's positioning. Maybe God is clearing the room so He can show you what His presence really feels like. But the Lord stood by me. Say that with me. The Lord stands by me. Go ahead and type it in the comments if you're ready to believe it. God stands by me. Because you're not invisible, you're not forsaken, and you're certainly not forgotten. In a world full of temporary people, God remains eternal. In a world full of broken promises, God stays faithful. And in the silence, He speaks most clearly. So if you're in a Hagar moment or a Paul moment, if you're sitting in your own wilderness or prison, hold on. God sees. God stays. God strengthens. This season is not the end. It's the middle. And the middle is where miracles often begin. Stay with me, because in the next part, we'll talk about what to do when you're waiting for breakthrough, and how to build unshakable hope, even when it feels like nothing is changing. There comes a moment when you run out of people to call, when the support group doesn't text back, when your closest friends don't understand, when even your own strength isn't enough, and all you have left is God. At first, that might feel terrifying. You cry out, "Lord, I can't do this alone," and heaven seems quiet. But then, something shifts. Not in your situation, but in your spirit. You realize, if all I have is God, then I have everything. Let me share something personal with you. There was a night, not too long ago, when I sat on the floor, broken. Not physically, but emotionally. I had tried everything, prayed every prayer, asked every person I trusted for help, and still, I felt empty. I whispered through tears, "God, if you don't show up, I don't know how I'll make it." And do you know what I felt? Not thunder, not lightning, not an angel in my living room, just peace, gentle, still, like a soft blanket over my soul. It wasn't loud, but it was real. It wasn't instant, but it was enough. In that stillness, I realized I was not alone, even when no one else could see me. And I remembered Isaiah chapter 43 verse 2, "When you pass through the waters, I will be with you." I wasn't drowning. I was being carried. It was as if God was saying, "I've always been enough. You just never knew it until now." Friend, hear me. God doesn't become enough when everyone else leaves. He's always been enough. Sometimes it takes the silence to hear His whisper. Sometimes it takes the empty room to recognize His presence. And sometimes it takes losing everything else to finally hold on to what matters most. Psalm chapter 73 verse 26 says, "My flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever." When everything else falls apart, He remains. So here's my question to you. Are you willing to trust that God is enough? Not just when life is good, not just when the prayers are answered, but when you're in the hallway, waiting for a door to open, when you're sitting in the doctor's office, holding your breath, when you're wiping away tears, alone in your room. Because that's where faith grows, not in the spotlight, but in the shadows, when no one is clapping, when no one is watching, when no one is texting, and yet God is there. Go ahead and comment, "God, you are enough," or type, "He met me there." Because if He did it for me, He'll do it for you. Not because you feel strong, but because you want to believe it, even if it's through tears. You're not less spiritual because you feel pain. You're not a failure because you feel alone. You're human. And God isn't afraid of your humanity. In fact, He meets you there. Not with judgment, but with gentle, faithful love. Here's the truth. When the foundation of your life is Jesus, even if everything else crumbles, you will still stand. So don't be afraid of this lonely season. Don't rush past it. Let it teach you, let it shape you, let it lead you to the one who holds your heart in His hands. Because when you come out on the other side, you'll know something the world can't take from you. That your hope isn't in people. Your peace isn't in circumstances. Your identity isn't in relationships. It's all in Him. If you've ever felt that all you had was God, and somehow that was enough, share your story in the comments. Your testimony might be the light someone else needs in their darkest night. You never know who needs to hear what you've walked through. Sometimes the hardest part of loneliness isn't the silence around you. It's the noise within you, the voice that says, "You'll never be whole again." Everyone leaves you because something's wrong with you. God is disappointed in you. But here's what I need you to know. God does His deepest healing in the quietest places. Do you remember Elijah, the prophet who called down fire from heaven? Right after that incredible moment, he fell apart. Jezebel threatened his life, fear overtook him, and Elijah ran into the wilderness. Alone, exhausted, suicidal. He said to God, "I've had enough, Lord. Take my life." 1 Kings chapter 19, verse 4. Think about that. A man of God who had just witnessed a miracle, now too broken to go on. Maybe you've been there too. On the outside, strong, but inside, crushed, tired of being tired. But instead of rebuking him, instead of scolding him for being too emotional, God sent an angel. Not to preach, not to correct, but simply to feed him, to let him sleep, to remind him you're still seen, you're still loved, and you're not done yet. That's the kind of God we serve. Not distant, but deeply personal. Later, when Elijah hid in a cave, God showed up again, but He didn't come in the wind, not in the earthquake, not in the fire. He came in a gentle whisper. 1 Kings chapter 19, verse 12. Why? Because God doesn't shout to get your attention. He whispers, so you'll draw close enough to hear His heartbeat. Maybe that's where you are right now. You're in the cave. The silence is loud. Your soul feels tired. But don't assume silence means absence, because in this quiet, God is rebuilding you. He's mending the parts of your heart no one else even sees. He's restoring what people tried to destroy. He's rewiring the lies you've believed for years. He's not ignoring you. He's preparing you. Healing doesn't always come with fireworks. Sometimes it comes with rest, with quiet mornings, with slow tears, with one honest prayer at a time. You don't have to rush this season. Healing isn't linear. You'll have good days and broken days, and guess what? God is in both. He's in the moments you worship, and in the moments you fall apart. Let me ask you something real. What if this quiet place isn't punishment, but preparation? What if the silence is actually God's operating room, where He gently removes the infection of shame and replaces it with truth? Psalm chapter 34, verse 18 says, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." That means He's not just watching from afar, He's sitting with you in it. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. Psalm chapter 147, verse 3. He's not in a hurry, and you don't have to be either. So breathe. You don't need to perform. You don't need to pretend. Just be here. Be still. Let Him whisper to your heart again. And if all you can say is, "God, help me," that's more than enough. If you're in a healing season, even a slow, messy one, type in the comments, "God is healing me, one day at a time." Because your honesty might give someone else the courage to keep going. This isn't just a valley, it's holy ground, because wherever God begins to heal becomes sacred. Stay here as long as you need. You're not falling behind. You're right where grace meets you. You've been through the silence. You've cried the tears. You've laid flat on the floor, wondering if you'd ever feel whole again. But here's what I need you to hear, loud and clear. You are not meant to stay broken. Yes, healing takes time. Yes, grief has no deadline. But there comes a moment when God doesn't just comfort you, He calls you. He says, "Daughter, son, get up." Just like He did with the little girl in Mark 5. She was dead. People had already given up. But Jesus walked in, took her hand, and said, "Talitha cum." Little girl, I say to you, get up. And she did. Friend, I believe He's saying the same to you. It's time to rise. Not because you feel strong, but because resurrection has never been about feelings. It's about the power of God. And His power is still alive in you. Romans chapter 8 verse 11 says, "The same Spirit who raised Jesus from the dead lives in you." Let that sink in. The Spirit that rolled the stone away. The Spirit that defeated death itself. The Spirit that turned a bloody cross into an empty grave. Is the same Spirit inside your weary, healing, still fragile heart. And He's whispering, "You're not done. This is not your ending. There is more ahead." Yes, your heart was broken, but now it beats with new purpose. Yes, people walked away, but now you walk with God. Yes, you were crushed, but now you carry a testimony hell can't silence. You're still here for a reason, and if you're still breathing, God's not finished. This next season, it's not about proving anything. It's not about being perfect. It's about showing up with your scars and letting God use them to heal others. Because you're not the only one who's been through the valley. And now that you're coming out of it, you carry light for those still in the dark. 2 Corinthians chapter 1 verse 4 says, "He comforts us in all our troubles so that we can comfort others." You don't need a platform. You don't need a pulpit. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to be real. Because someone out there needs to know healing is possible. So rise up. Step out of that cave. Shake off the shame. You've got nothing to prove and everything to give. This world doesn't need perfect people. It needs healed people, honest people. People who can say, "I've been there. I broke too. But God put me back together." If you feel God calling you to rise again, scars, tears, and all, comment below, "I'm rising again. God's not done with me." Say it even if your voice shakes. Say it even if you don't fully believe it yet. Because faith speaks before it sees. You are not disqualified. You are not too far gone. You are not forgotten. You are His. And He's not just healing you to feel better. He's healing you to walk into purpose. This is your comeback. This is your next chapter. This is resurrection. You've made it this far, and that says something. It means you're still breathing, you're still believing, you're still here, even if life hasn't been easy, even if healing feels painfully slow, even if the answers haven't come yet. You haven't quit. And I want you to know, God hasn't quit on you either. So let me remind you, one more time, you are not alone, not in your quiet nights, not in your confused prayers, not in your silent pain. Because even when the world walks away, Jesus stays. "I will never leave you nor forsake you." Hebrews chapter 13 verse 5. He's the friend who sits with you in the ashes, the shepherd who searches until he finds you, the Savior who sees your scars and still calls you beautiful. So wherever this video finds you, whether you're just beginning to heal or learning to rise again after the fall, this moment right here, it's holy ground. This is where shame ends. This is where hope begins. This is where you remember who you are. You are seen, you are loved, you still belong. You don't have to fix yourself to come to God. You just have to come. Come tired, come messy, come honest, and let Him hold the pieces you can't carry anymore. Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Matthew chapter 11, verse 28. That's not just a beautiful verse. That's a promise. So right now, wherever you are, just breathe, close your eyes, feel His presence, let go of the pressure, let go of the past, and say this with me if you can. God, I'm still healing, but I trust you. Use even my brokenness for your glory. Amen. If this video spoke to your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Comment below. God is with me, and I'm not alone anymore. And share it with someone who needs to hear these words. Because this isn't the end of your story. It's the beginning of something sacred. So rise slowly, heal deeply, and walk forward, not in fear, but in faith. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted. Psalm chapter 34, verse 18. You are not forgotten, you are not alone, and you are deeply, eternally loved.